the linen stitch hat. Hey, it's Denise from LoomaHat.com. For more information, visit the website or see the description below. I'm going to be using a large gauge 41 peg loom, and I've marked every other peg. As you can see, there's going to be a change in the pattern when we get to the end. So right here you'll see some changes. If you have a 40 peg loom, then just ignore what I do on that last peg. For the yarn, I'm using one strand of super bulky, and I'm going to use a simple knot to secure it to the anchor peg. You can use a slip knot if that's more comfortable, and the direction that you go doesn't matter. I'm going to the right, and we're going to wrap every peg. Then, using the Uwrap version of the knit stitch, you're going to half wrap your peg, and with your pick you're going to knit off. Again, you're going to half wrap, take the loop from the bottom, flip it over the top, and that's a knit off. Continue. You need to do all of your pegs. You're now done with the cast on, and you're ready for rows 1 through 5. Well, we'll do the brim, and it'll be a knit 1, purl 1. So just like before, we're going to be using the Uwrap version of the knit stitch. So half wrap your peg, knit off, and then take that working yarn and you're going to put it under the existing loop on the next peg. With your hook, you're going to scoop up that working yarn to create a new loop. Right here. You're going to take off the old loop, put the new loop on, and pull. That's your purl stitch. Again, that two stitch pattern is a knit 1 and a purl 1. And you're going to continue to do this to the end of the row, and on the last peg you're going to do a purl stitch. So keep going. Remember to purl the last one right there. Now start the next row. Now you can take the knot off the anchor peg. Keep knitting. You need 5 rows, and then you can go on to row 6. For row 6, we're going to eWrap knit 1, then slip 1 with yarn in front, and eWrap knit the last peg. Don't worry about the with yarn in front. I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, let's start with that eWrap knit. So you need to wrap the peg, and then with your hook, go ahead and take that bottom loop over the top and knit off. Now for the slip 1, you're going to take the loop off the peg, and then take that working yarn, put it behind the peg, and put the loop back on it. And that's with your yarn in front. Here's your yarn. It's now in front of the next peg, and you're going to go ahead and do that eWrap because we need to repeat that 2-stitch pattern. Knit off, and now I'm going to show you a different way of doing the slip 1 with yarn in front. So you're going to take the hook and you're going to scoop up the working yarn to create a new loop, and then take that loop behind the peg and pull on the yarn so it drops to the bottom. You see it right here? It did the same thing. that you did in the other way. This is just an easier, faster way. Then I'm going to continue my 2-stitch pattern, so I'm going to knit one here, and now let me show you up close that slip one with yarn in front. I'm going to take my hook, scoop up the working yarn, and that loop I'm going to take it over the peg's top and then pull the yarn down. There you go. Alright, just continue the 2-stitch pattern, knit one, slip one with yarn in front, knit one, slip one with yarn in front, and your last peg, if you're on an odd loom like I am, you're going to knit that last peg. And special thanks to Kimberly Kerrigan for figuring out a simple way of doing the slip one with yarn in front. So cool. Alright, if you don't have an extra peg, just ignore this. For the rest of us, we're going to knit one and then we're ready for row 7, where all you have to do is eWrap knit the row. So, we're going to wrap every single peg. Wrap, 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 wrap. Then we're going to knit off. Start with the last one first. Then you'll be ready for row 8, which is the reverse of row 6. So now you're going to slip one with yarn in front and then do an eWrap knit stitch. So you see where I did the knit here. Now I'm going to do the slip one with yarn in front, and my next peg I'm going to do that eWrap. If you notice, everywhere I have a rubber band, on row 6 I was knitting, and here I'm doing the slip one with yarn in front, and where I don't have one I'm doing a knit stitch. So just continue the 2-stitch pattern and you're going to end your row with an eWrap knit stitch. Remember that if your loom is even, you don't have to do that last peg, and then you're ready for row 9, which is nothing more than eWrap the entire row, but your last peg you're going to do a slip one with yarn in front. So you're going to wrap all of these pegs but not the last one. That last one, you're going to do that slip one with yarn in front. Now knit off all the rest of the pegs. Then for rows 10 through 41, it's just repeating rows 6 through 9 8 more times, and then for row 42 you're just going to knit the row. Alright, so do your 4-row repeat, right, for a total of 41 rows. And then here's row 42, where all you're going to do is knit the row. Once you're done with that, we're ready for the cast off, and we're going to do a hacked version of the flat drawstring cast off. So take your working yarn and wrap it around the loom about 1 and a little bit cut, and then we're going to take the hook and we're going to scoop up the working yarn through the loop, skip and go behind the next one, and then do the same thing again. Scoop it up and feed it through the loop. The next one you're going to go behind and skip it, and repeat that again. You're going to scoop it up, feed it through the loop, and continue. When you're done, remove only those loops from the pegs. Pull a little bit on that drawstring, and now we're going to deal with the loops that are still on the loom. So take a scrap piece of the same yarn, secure it to the anchor peg, and just like before, you're going to wrap it around the loom, one and a little bit more, and go ahead and cut your yarn and get your hook. And just like before, we're going to scoop up the yarn, skip one, go to the next one, scoop it up, skip one, go to the next one, and you'll notice that there are now 2 layers basically of the top of your hat, of the crown, and we're going to deal with them like that separately. So go ahead and take these loops off of the pegs so that you can free your fabric from the loom, and you can clearly see the 2 levels here, right? So you have one that has the inside, which is 1 string, so you're gonna pull it tight and close it up, and you could see the 2 levels. The other one's a little wrinkled. So take that yarn and put it inside the hat, and you can finish closing it up a little bit, and then pull on these 2, which is the top level, and then put those inside as well. Now you can pull on all 3 strands, and you'll see that it's closing up, and it's a nice flat top. I'm sorry, I can't even talk anymore. And make a knot, and there you have. It's almost done. I kind of like mine's a bit closer, so I'm going to thread a needle with that yarn, and then I'm going to go ahead and take my thread back over to the right side of the fabric, and I'm going to sew in a circular manner, and as I sew I will skip a few of the loops every so often, and I will tighten on the yarn, and you can see that it starts to close up really good. See? Just go around at least 3 times, and every time you go, skip a few loops, and you'll see that it starts to tighten up really nice and good. And there you have it. You can take the yarn back to the inside of the hat, and you can make a knot, or it's pretty secure. You can just cut the excess yarn, and there you go. Alright, now once you're done with this next part is going to be optional. You don't have to do it. So for some people, that's the end. Your hat is done, and you can put a pom-pom on it. But for me personally, I'm going to go ahead and tighten up these loops here, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I will put a link in the description for you. I just want to show you that this is an option. Personally, I really like tightening up my edges because I really like the hat to look nice and neat. Then I'm going to go ahead and weave in these ends. So with a needle, I'm going to go ahead and finish it up on the edge, and then bring the yarn inside the hat, and I go upwards a little bit, and when I feel like I've gone up enough, then I start coming down. I do that just to kind of secure the yarn again, and then I get my scissors and I cut, and I'm done. There you go. Thanks Carol, Valerie, and Lori for covering the cost of closed captioning.